Three, two, one. Good morning, good evening, good night, however it goes. Welcome to the spotlight. Um, Not in complete step with Women's History Month, but I wanted to feature someone for Black History Month, for Women's Month. But I also wanted to feature someone that I think has stepped out on faith. And as I was driving today, I was thinking that there are a lot of ways that you can step out on faith. But who we have with us here is Phoelicia Blagmon. Um, we started together at St. Stephen's AME. She has done a lot of things, and can you call it the corporate world or the government?
Yeah. I never worked. I've never
Corporate,
worked for the
right?
government. Yeah, it's mostly corporate.
All
I
right.
was 18 when I quit government.
So we wanted to speak with Felicia on some things that she has stepped out on faith, things that I have seen, and there might be some things that I don't know. But it's 1 o'clock or 1:05 in the evening. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So you might be the first edition of Stepping Out on Faith. Uh,
Okay.
and again, depending on the questions and answers, it might be called something else. So
Okay.
let's start. So, okay, like I say, we're going to jump right into it.
Okay.
As I had spoken before, and I just left some other um, members of our former church. Um, so I think one of the things that I can't speak to you without, and my camera's here, but I'm
That's
looking at it.
fine.
Okay. Without going back to St. Stephen's, and not for reasoning, but leaving a church that was home to us.
Yes.
A lot of friends. We met there. I met my wife there. And I met some lifelong friends there. And actually the pastor I'm serving under now, Philip, we started there as well.
Yes.
But how hard was it for you to, because everybody needs a church home, how hard was it for you to um step out on faith and leave St. Stephen's?
It was really, really hard because St. Stephen's was my safe place. St. Stephen's got me through bad relationship, ultimately a divorce. It got me through losing my babies. It helped me grow up. It helped me become the woman I am, to be able to speak, not always comfortably, but to be able to speak in front of a crowd, thanks to like Candace and Lucille Jennings. So St. Stephen's is home. It's still home. It's always going to be home. And I tell people now who don't know, I didn't leave because I was upset. So it was really hard when you have to be obedient to what God has asked you. And He asked me that long before COVID. But my thing was like, nope, I have women's ministry, I have this ministry, I have multimedia, and they need me. No, they don't. They did for me,
Right,
or I needed them. Instead of that, God had already said it was okay for me to leave to get to the next step I needed to be in.
right,
So COVID allowed me to go to the church that I had been wanting to go to ask questions that kept me from going there, that were really personal. And Pastor Kim was like, "You should have asked. You could have already been here." And I said, "Yep." And Pastor Kim is someone I've known since I was 18. She was my roommate in college. So I could have asked, but I didn't, because that was just, again, my safety net to stay where I was, because it was my home. It still is my home. But she said something really poignant to me, which was, It's not personal, it's purposeful. When you leave, it's not anything personal, and it's not. Like, if God says go back, then I'm gonna go back. But for right now, in order for me to grow and to be really where God needs me to be, I needed to be somewhere else and not busy, because St. Stephen's just kept me busy.
Yeah, that's true.
And
One of the
and
things
I
we always said that is if you was on one ministry, you was on five, you know.
and yeah, and I led two, three, yeah, I led several of them, but it helped me be the leader I am, or the leader I'm becoming. It helped me. But I wasn't doing what I needed to in my personal life,
Okay.
especially when my personal life was blowing up and I didn't know how to depend on God. So it was hard. It was hard. It was hard to write the letter. It was hard to send the letter. It was hard to stop paying tithes there. And the day God said, stop paying, I was like, well, where do you want me to pay this, Lord? I'm not going to not pay my tithes. Where you? And he's like, where are you being fed the most now? And I was like, okay. But it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, and I won't get into my personal
Yeah,
um
we discussed this.
right, because this is about you. But it is home. It got me through a lot of things, and it is still home as well. So, but you brought up COVID,
Mhm.
and if I'm not mistaken, during COVID, this is when you started a women's Bible study.
Yes.
So, where did it come from? What grain of thought did it come from? And why? Because we when we think of Bible studies, we think of being led by ministers, elders, pastors and stuff. So tell us about the Bible study that you started.
So it was still during the process of me transitioning out of St. Stephen's. And St. Stephen's had just started the Sunday morning, like the
The one with
different
the rooms, the women were in the
with
room.
the rooms.
In the
Yes.
room. Okay, okay.
And I enjoyed it. And it was like, well, what am I going to do, Lord? If you're telling me this is not where you need me to be now, where am I going to do at that time on Sunday morning? And he was like, then you do your own. You do your own thing. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. Can't be no different than running women's ministry. And yes, we think of ministers, but we're all ministers. So to know that
Sure.
we are all supposed to minister the word, the Great Commission. So
Right.
as long as I know I heard clearly God say, you go do this, because I needed that. I still needed that structure, because that's what I was doing for 8:30, and I was gonna miss it. And I needed to at that time totally disconnect from St. Stephen. So I needed that time. And he gave me certain women to ask. Your wife was one of them. Like, he was specific what I needed to do and who I needed to ask. And if they said okay, then I went for it. And I made sure I did that. And he gave me my neighbor who I did not even know.
Wow.
And she had literally just moved in maybe a couple of months. But when Barry introduced himself, he said, oh, yeah, my wife, I have a wife. She's in pointing to where I'm sitting now from outside, like, yeah, she's in that room right there doing Bible study, and her name is Janetta, and she was like, "Oh, I need to do Bible study," but I was doing Bible study like just regular church Bible study.
Right.
So when I started my own, I asked her, and the three women I originally asked are still with me.
Right. And I'm glad you said still with you because though COVID still is out and about here, that you've maintained your Bible study, at a time where we've gone back into the buildings because the
Yeah,
church is the people, but at a time we've gone back in the buildings, you're still maintaining that Sunday morning Bible study. So
yeah.
um, I guess you're saying that your job isn't done yet?
My job isn't done yet because no, I no, because women are is my calling. That I believed it at first until Candace asked me to be her second in women's ministry, and I'm looking at her like, you choosing me? You're choosing me, and then to step into that and to go forth with that, it's like, okay, this is my purpose, this is my calling, whatever it may look like, however it may be, it is to help women either grow in their relationship with God, to be an encourager, but mostly, to help women to grow in their relationship as I grow, because I'm gonna need you to help me grow because I don't know everything. I haven't been to theology school, but I know how to pick up a book. I know how to Google. I know how to get in the Word and do what I need to do. So, so yes, continue. So it continues. It's not as long as it used to be because we are back in the church
Mhm.
and inside the building, but we get those 30 minutes in and we do what we have to.
Okay, okay. So, I've seen you do a lot of things and you do a lot of things and probably all of them I don't know. But one thing stood out to me is that you were on an earlier spotlight when we talked about breast cancer.
Yes.
Um, and at VLF, we're being drummed that we have to give back and give back and give back. But um, that seed probably was planted in us at St. Stephen's. But I one of the things I know we could count on when the month came around that you and Belinda and some of the other ladies were going to walk in your tutus and such, and you came into the church in tutus and such. So that let's speak about that cause, the breast cancer. What got you involved in that? Because I really don't know. I just know
Okay.
that you were, and like I said, you spoke on an earlier spotlight about it, and I don't remember if I asked you then because I am getting old, but
You did ask me.
I did. So
Yes, you
so
did.
we're talking about you this time instead of breast cancer prior.
Okay.
So what got you into it?
Um, trying to think which one was first. Was it ours at St. Stephen's? Because I've done some outside of St. Stephen's also.
Right.
It might have been because Sarah said she was walking, and I was saying, why not? Because you're supposed to be a servant heart. Why not? Why not walk with the women? Why not do a cause that could affect you at any time? And again, it has been something I've had to deal with personally, as in getting the test, them coming back saying, we need to take a sample to see if this is going to be benign or not. And so you never know as a woman when you're, or a man, when you're going to be the next person with breast cancer. So even just a scare can say, why not? I don't have it, but I can give back. I can be the servant I'm supposed to be and walk for someone else that can't. And so it started with the health ministry, with Sarah asking some women to walk. And there was a lot of us. And the first walk was at Patterson Park. And it was a lot of us then. And 20 something years later, Sarah has done all of them. She's volunteered. And as for me, from walking that first time, I decided I needed to do something in 96. And I did a 3-day cancer walk.
3 days
3 days.
here in the
Three
city?
days. Say that again.
Here in the city?
Nope. Nope. In Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And I asked for a team. Being African American, my African American friends was like, nope, we're not doing it because we think we camped out. They was like, nope, we're not doing. We'll support you, but we're not doing that. So my team was three of my coworkers. I used to work for a interior design company in the accounting department, and they were three of my coworkers from there, all white, and they had no problem. And they trained. We trained together. We walked. And Sarah again on some Saturdays would come out. I mean, literally, we would go to Columbia and Centennial Park and train out there because I would train because that one time around that whole park is 2.5 miles. And
Okay.
I needed to get in at least get my stamina up to at least 10 to 13 miles a day
Wow.
because the walk was a total of 60 miles. So I had to raise $2,000, $2,500. So I had every friend I know helping me raise money, me raising money, me begging for money, and I raised 3,000.
Oh, wow.
And the training started maybe March or April. The walk wasn't just like September, October. It's like October because moms were out,
Okay.
and it was in Philadelphia. We started out at King of Prussia and walked into Philadelphia.
Wow.
And I did not make the whole 60 miles. I did 40 of the 60 miles.
Well,
Um,
considering that you probably, because I'm thinking about me and I do walk, Panetta and I are waiting for the weather to change so we can get to walk even with her fractured ankle. She's getting a lot better with that. So we're looking forward to walking, but I
yes.
don't know about that. I have my watch set to 6,000 steps a day, and it's so rare that I reach the 6,000 when it buzzes. It really surprises.
Like, and I used to do 12. I used to do 12,000 steps a day. Now, from that, it really got me into wanting to walk
Right,
because I also am bigger. So I always needed to try to get my weight down. I'm trying to be diabetic free.
right.
So it that just encouraged me to walk and to get into walking more because it's not like I like to walk before then. It was just something that was said, you need to do that. Let's see if you can do that. And those three women, they walked with me. Two of them did all 60 miles. And two of us did not. But I walked, I stopped walking that last day and then I took it up and I walked when my team showed up to the last check-in. I walked into the stadium. So I did do like the last 8. And my mom, who supports me in everything, came from PG County, found her way around because it's not like I could tell her where. And every time I looked, she had a sign up in the middle of Philadelphia supporting me, cousin.
Uh,
But
you only get one, but you got to have a good one. So
yes,
I
yes,
see. I never knew that. I
yeah.
never knew.
So, and from that, Sarah did a 2-day Avon cancer walk. So I did the 3-day that 96, 97. Sarah did. Um, she said, I'm gonna do the Avon, and she went on to do an Avon walk.
So we did talk about breast cancer and such, but we do know COVID. So did COVID slow down the walks, or did it cancel a couple of them during the height of COVID?
So 2020, I don't know if I don't think they had one, but they may have because I remember one time Sarah, Belinda, Joy, and Kenneth walked, but around St. Stephen's. So I
Mhm.
don't know if that was 2020 or 2021.
Okay,
Would walk near they had to walk, but they didn't do it as a like
structured sort of.
American Cancer didn't do it as a structured one. You designed your own and you
Ah,
had so many miles to walk and they taped themselves walking and I was out of town at the time.
okay.
So it might have been because they were even distant from each other. They weren't even walking beside each other.
Right.
So it might have been 2020
Okay.
that they did that because I remember during the time of the walk, I decided to go out of town.
Okay. All right.
And so it hasn't slowed down. They just, reconfigured it.
Right. So we're going to talk about where you are now, but let's talk about where you've been. You worked for iHeartRadio. Uh,
Yes.
what did you do at iHeart?
I was the executive assistant to the senior VP of government affairs and the office manager for the DC office.
Okay. And again, not discounting where you are now, but how was it working for iHeart?
It was great. It was great.
Okay.
So I have a non-compete nine. So it was great.
Okay. So, let's get with and when I was thinking about stepping on the face, let's get to where you are now.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's something we talked about before you um were divorced or moved from iHeart or however you want to do it. But we talked about it now. So tell us about this stepping out on faith that you're doing right now.
Okay. So as you and I both know, and the other people will know when they see this, that as of February, I no longer work for iHeart. Those that really know me know I was ready. It's kind of like anything. When God tells you like, like you need to move. And again, when it's your comfort zone, you don't move. And I was in the process of preparing to move. And I was like, Lord, I just need you to give me a date. But can you make it later in the year? And he was like, nope. So um it came in February. And I was like, oh, okay, Lord.
Okay.
It's, was it a shock? Yes. Do I understand it? I do. I do. Because business is business. It wasn't anything of my my fault. So reorganization happens. So it freed me up. If from what because God does answer prayers and he does not always answer them how you want them answered.
A lot of times he does not answer how you want it. Yeah.
And and as I said to the women on Bible study 2 weeks ago, because a song came on called Waiting. And I forgot who the gentleman is that sung it. And I kept saying to the ladies, he said, this is a moment you've prayed to God for, but you forgot that you prayed for it. But now that you remember, thank God for it. And I had to go back, oh, yes, I've prayed for this. I've asked for this. And he's like, oh, you taking too long to be obedient to what I've already asked you. So we stepped, so we're out. So I get to do right now what I need to do for Felicia.
Uh, can you tell us what that is?
So couple of
Was it
years,
too
so
soon? Is it too soon?
never too soon, because it may change the trajectory of what's going on. So um I have, well, 2019, right before COVID hit, I started being a travel agent.
Okay.
And my travel agent business is Sun to Sun Travel. My accountant would call it a hobby because I'm not making any, because I'm not pushy it. People need it, they need it, but I know I can put myself out there. And now I have time to put myself out there to do it. I have clients. I have several this year. So that's one business.
Okay.
Um, and in the midst of COVID, in the midst of everything else changing, in the midst of me knowing it was really time to leave our heart. But again, when it's your comfort zone, you're not gonna leave. A friend was like, why are you looking? Start your own, become a virtual assistant. And I was like, what is that? And so I had to look it up. And there are so many virtual assistants out there all over the world. And just doing, I've already been an executive assistant for years. I already have accounting. I just take my skills and give and work for small businesses, some bigger businesses, but we're just not in the same location. That person could be in Europe, but I'm actually their assistant. I'm helping them maintain their business, helping them not run around like a chicken, I say, with their heads cut off, because I'm taking on tasks that they want to take on that I was already doing for another corporation, but now I work for myself. So that business is called Ask Fee. Of course, it's the first four letters of my name,
Right.
but also it stands for Praise Him Over Everything.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay. So that's news to me as well.
so it's ASK, like ask fee, right? You know, you want something done, ask fee. And that's how my girlfriend sold it to me. You know, she's like, here's the name, ask fee. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, it's my name, but it's also acronym. And then that's what he gave me. Praise him over everything.
So we're all about networking, and we've done a couple spotlights to network, either someone writing a book or doing their own business, whether it's not in profit or anything. So definitely give me that information, and we'll definitely display it out there, and see what we can do to network you into.
Okay. And you know, I have an Instagram page for it and a Facebook page.
Send that to me too, because again, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I don't do Instagram. I do Facebook mostly to stay. Well, I started Facebook mostly to stay in touch with my former FBI
Okay.
family. And now I do have some church family on it. But I've said on another spotlight that um, I'm not out there trying to get so many friends and friends of friends, and I usually know them directly, but we're gonna get away from that. So today is March the 20th.
Yes.
This coming weekend, you have something in Bowie, Maryland. If
Yes.
I'm not mistaken, it's Black Girl Triumph.
It's Black Girl Triumph documentary. Yes.
Okay, so give us some, and hope this probably the thing about it, this won't come out until Friday night, but I'm hoping people will look at it Friday night and maybe give you a call about coming on Saturday. So tell us about Black Girl Triumph.
So Black Girl Triumph, friend of mine, her name is Miss Carolyn Ayers, prophetess Carolyn Ayers. I've known her a good 15, 16 years, as long as I've been was working in DC. Met her on the train. Um, so her dream has always kind of been to do a documentary. She writes books. She's self-published her books about her story. So she mentioned in January of 2023, God had told her to do a documentary. And she asked some women, and I happen to be one of them. Her story is about her abuse in a marriage and growing up with it. Every lady had a different kind of story. They weren't all about abuse, some about being homeless. And we were the first four women in the documentary. Of course, I haven't dealt with abuse, so I spoke about losing my babies, not, being a mother another way. So if you look at the ad, it says a mother's care. I forgot what it says. So we filmed in June of last year, and Miss Carolyn has been promoting it like crazy. Like they've launched, they've premiered, I should say, the first two parts, which
Okay.
is Miss Carolyn's part and Lakeisha's part. They did that in New Orleans. And Miss Carolyn said, we're going to break it up. That was in October. We're going to break it up, and parts 3 and 4 will be done in March of 2024. And we'll do it in Maryland, since I'm in Maryland. The other young lady, she's in St. Louis, but we still wanted to do something because Miss Carolyn's lived here forever, but she's from New Orleans.
Okay.
So, and she has children here in Maryland. So she wanted to make sure she came to Maryland to preview it. So Saturday, and I haven't seen it. So yes, I taped it, and it was a therapy session for me because some things I hadn't even thought about. And the producer of the film knew, she was the person asking the question, knew how to bring bring stuff out of you. Um, it was a good experience, and it's been a good experience. We've won awards already. So Miss Carolyn has us in different film festivals, and we won one category already, and we are waiting to hear from two other ones.
Okay.
So but it parts 3 and 4, and mine is the last part, is being premiered on Saturday afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30 in South Bowie Library.
Okay.
Um, and so, like I said, I haven't seen it. So whoever comes to be with me, we all gonna see it at the same time.
Okay.
Um,
So, entrance free cost.
Entrance is free.
Okay,
It's
it's
free.
entrance is free,
It's at the library. Yep, it's free.
and
Yep.
before we started filming, you said something about 85. Is it 85
We
seats?
have a cap at 85 seats, so it is limited, and I think we got about 10, 15 more seats left, but things happen, so people might not come, but we need to kind of know a head count. Miss Carolyn needs to know a head count, but I have the Evite that she created that I can just send a link to you.
Okay. I was I had planned on because I didn't know exactly what it was, even though we did premiered on our um news and announcements for this month from VLF. Um and now I'm interested in it. I was telling a friend of mine that I was going to stop past and see her and her kids, and I may or may not still do that. But what I want to do, if you could send me that invite, so maybe I can send it to her and
Okay, so
she can meet us there.
I text it to you,
Okay, that'll be good.
um, and everything, but it should be nice. Michelle's story is really, that's part 3,
Okay.
is really good. Everybody's was good, and because we share that experience, we're all friends.
All right. So with this Evite, if you send it to me and say I put it on the post-production of this spotlight, will it show that it's capped at 85 if it goes over or anything?
I don't know how Miss Carolyn did it. I can count before this comes out.
Okay.
I can even have her. I know she's busy. I can kind of look and see how many we have
Let me know
because
because I
she
would
has
like
me.
to probably put this
But
information.
I can tell you we don't. I don't think there's 85, but I can look. I
Okay.
can definitely look for you.
Because
Yeah.
if some people the premiere this I mean preview the spotlight on Friday night, maybe we can get a couple more heading down from the Baltimore way. And
Yes.
I can
And
Lori to come.
and it may spark somebody. They may have their own story. Miss Carolyn's always looking to for other women to tell their story,
Right. I
to
might
be a
even get
part.
my nephew. He's going to actually going to school for um film producing and stuff now. So
Okay.
I can get Lori and Jason to come and see
Oh,
it.
then you could talk to Vanessa. That was who produced the film, and she's at I want to say Southern Maryland University um film school.
Okay. Jason is going to
I
I
think
think
it's Southern
William
Maryland.
and Mary down in Virginia.
Okay.
It's down that way. But yeah, I'm going to reach out to them tonight and tell them about it and see if they want to roll over and see that.
Yeah. And then the other in the cast of the next, like parts 5 and 6, they're filming on Friday.
Okay.
So they would be, two of them would be there on Saturday too, to get introduced
All right.
to you
So
all.
I don't know if you know this question or not because you're talking about 3 and 4. 1 and 2, how is there a way for people to see 1 and 2? Is it available someplace?
So I'm not sure if she's put it, because she's putting them out to film festivals eventually. So she has a YouTube channel called Black Girls Triumph.
Okay.
People can go subscribe, and she's had just like you're doing, she's had people, she's interviewed people. Of course, I've been dragged into
Right,
to
right.
to something, and they will eventually land there on that page on the Black Girls Triumph YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay.
So it is a channel that they would eventually land on.
Okay.
So
Well, I may ask you for her information to see if I'm always looking for something for the spotlight. Um,
okay,
Antoine Grant, who has his own pod stream, he calls it, um, access granted. He had some filmmakers on, and their project that's coming out now is called, I think it's called My Private Line to God. Um,
okay,
I have talked to them about coming on for a spotlight, and we're hoping to do that soon. We plan on, or hopefully we can work it out with them, that we will premiere a showing at VLF. So I'd
okay,
like to speak to them before, if we get it, if we lock in that date and such. And I wish I had kind of talked to you earlier than this, because I would have definitely um, spoken to your producer and tried to get her on here too. We would have probably tried to knock a bit more than 85 seats out. So that's good. So
it's supposed to be there. It's going to be there. So that's less people I got to be in front of to
right.
speak.
So did you say 2 to 4 or 2:30 to 4:30?
I think it's 2:30 to 4:30. It's not long.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I think it's. I have to be there too because I want to help her set up. But
Okay.
I think it's 2:30.
Okay. All right. So I will either stay for the whole thing, or maybe go around and see Lori and them. If they don't come, if they come, then we'll be together anyway. So, but I'm going to reach out to them tonight. Like I say, in the production part, Jason will find that interesting, and then Lori will probably find, because Lori has a story to tell too. Actually, she'll appear in the spotlight after this one that'll premiere next Thursday. Uh,
Okay.
and that one's going to be called "Till Death Do Us Part." She is a recent widow, and
Okay.
pulled in two more people for that, and they'll premiere next Thursday. So
Okay.
um, you're out in the world, you're doing your thing. Um,
Yes.
so what's next for Phoelicia Blagmon?
I don't know. Well, whatever God, I guess God says. I did have an interview. I was telling you before, because I have to make sure, I keep up with what unemployment is asked of me. And so been putting my resume out in the world, and I have an interview with the sickle cell um disease association. So if God says go work somewhere because this is where I need you, then that's what I'm going to do. If the job does not come to fruition, so because I had the interview yesterday, I have a second one. If that does not, any job that hasn't come forth so far, because I've interviewed several times,
Mhm.
I know God, that's not where He needs me to be right now. And in this season, I am being very intentional about what I'm doing, trying to be intentional about what I say. It's not always,
Okay.
but intentional, making sure I'm obedient to what God needs of me at this moment.
Okay. So we've covered a few things in your life and career. Um, and the focus, or the focal point of this, is stepping out on faith. Um, Someone sees this and calls you up, or sees you in the street and asks you, what advice could you give someone on stepping out on faith?
Hmm. At this point, just do it. Is it going to be easy? No, but trust. If you say you're a Christian, and if we're talking about Christians, if you say you're a Christian, then you're going to have to believe the word for what it says. We can't take this Bible or this word and say we believe it, and then we don't follow what he says. Because if he says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, then I need to believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. If he told me that he had me, then I gotta believe he has me. He says all these promises to us. I have to believe them above all things, and that's where we have to be. Is it an easy thing? No. Is it gonna be some days? I'm like, no. There's been some days since February when that I just wasn't feeling it, and he would come back to me. He's like, "What did I say?" And you're gonna. We talked about it before. End times coming. It is too many signs. We either gonna be obedient to God, or we're gonna get left behind. And if he's telling you to do something, trust him. Hear exactly what he's telling you first. Then do everything he's asked you to do. What Candace used to say, I used to say, doing it afraid. And then I got called out by a friend of mine last week. And she's like, no, he says, about no fear, if we're fearfully one that no fear, he doesn't give us a spirit of fear. That's what she said.
Exactly.
So we're not even doing afraid. We're just gonna do it. Just like Nike, just do it.
Right.
Because he doesn't give us a spirit of fear. I'm like, and I'm looking at her, even though it was on the phone, like, really? I'm like, okay. But it's like, yeah, just do it. If you know and he's giving you peace, even shaky peace, but he's giving you peace. Like it's time to do this. It's time to open that business. It's time to do to change jobs. Then you need to do it. And even if you're not a Christian, God speaks to everybody. And so even as a non-Christian, I'm gonna need to go to God and say, God, is that you? Are you telling me? So what now? And you're gonna have to get specific. Also, you have to be specific.
Right.
I can't always say I've been specific, and he's just looking at me like, okay, you asked for this broad thing. Now I need you to narrow it down to, and I'm not. I'm still working on that.
Right.
Still
I
working on.
had that conversation in the last couple of weeks about what you want and what you pray for. I tell everyone that to hear a voice, I I I don't hear the voice, but I see his works.
Yeah.
And on two occasions, he's done the same thing the same way, and it has benefited me to the point to when the second time it happened, I knew it immediately that was him. So
And sometimes he's not even gonna do it the same way because I just knew, like with this one, I'm not leaving. Oh, it's gonna be totally different. It was not. It was, but he brings things back to our remembrance. That's what I'm gonna say. He'll even bring things back to your remembrance. Remember when I did this for you, because this is not the first time I've been let go, and he had to remind me of that and how I never stopped working from that time until now. But I also needed the rest, and he told me I needed the rest.
yeah, I'm a firm believer that sometimes he'll give you a coal or something to stand in the way just to slow you down
Yeah,
so you can either get that rest or think about him. He
yeah.
gives you that time. Um, my own wife, like I said, during COVID, I don't make that a secret. I mean, I've done some things in my life and in my business life that there was no fear. I didn't worry, but COVID scared me, and she kept me off the ledge. To her
Good.
prayers and just that we were good. I hear some people I couldn't stand being in the house. I loved being in the house. We probably gained a lot of weight because we were eating good and cooking good. So
I love being in the house now. We're commuting to DC. all that time. I never got a chance, and working so much as things, I never got a chance to be home. Again, my life was falling apart. You and I've had that conversation,
Yeah.
my life was falling apart. And I remember the last February night of 2020, I was like, and just a month like, oh, okay. And everybody else having all these things like panicking. I was like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the house because you knew I had too much going on
Yep.
in this household. I needed to be in my house.
Right.
I,
Right.
and I took that oil. I did what I needed to do. I needed to be here. I needed to enjoy my house because I had this house built. This is a house that God gave me.
Right.
I was like, ain't nobody gonna take me from this. And now I'm like, oh, you want me to come where? How many events you want me to do? Oh no, I can't. Where I used to could do three, we gone from sun up to sundown on a Saturday, and I'm like, I can do one. I can do one thing for you, but I need to be in my house.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. God will answer
Yeah,
prayers because
yeah.
you know, I worked at the Horseshoe Casino, and apparently I had things to do for the church and things to do for my house. So I end up leaving there, and I'm
Yeah.
working just as hard. I'm not getting paid, but working just as hard. And even on that, God gave me something on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because I like to travel and I like to give her whatever she wants when she travels. If she wants to go to the mall in that city, then I like to
Mhm.
give her that money. And when we're on the road, if we just want to stop in this city, so God even answered that prayer. So God does answer prayer.
So it's not all financial.
It's not. It's fulfilling, even when I
Yeah.
left um the government, I had time, as my mother was sick and transitioning. I didn't have to take any leave. I was already here.
Yeah.
And even at the casino, I still had just carte blanche freedom to do what I need to do. So yeah, he will answer your prayer. You just got to slow down and listen to it.
Favor.
Understand it that when that answer comes, that like you said, you may have asked for it a year ago or 2 years ago, but here's that.
You prayed for this moment. Now that I remember that I prayed for it, thank God for it.
Well, I'm
That's
hoping that somebody got something out of our conversation and who you are and how you've done it. And it doesn't have to be a guide to how they live their life, but just in the way that you've done it. Maybe they can have some thoughts about what they can do with their life. Don't be afraid to step out on faith. Sometimes you're forced to step out on faith.
yes.
Um, but
And the force sometimes is good. It's good for you. Romans 8:28. All things work together for your good. Sometimes it is for your good because then now you're set up to be in the place he needs you to be. Because remember, we all got a purpose. And if you don't be obedient, then you miss where you're supposed to be. So, and if he needs you to be there and he needs it's somebody else, because it's really again not all about us. He's trying to get it for somebody else. So you got to be in your place to help somebody else.
so now I see what's going on at Bible study now. I just got a sample, I guess. So so that's good. So and why is my phone ringing? But it waited to the end of the thing.
Wait, yes.
So I thank you again for appearing on this spotlight.
I thank you for asking me.
As always, I enjoy talking with you, but we're doing it on a different arena this time. So I really appreciate you coming on, and we're going to talk soon. But we'll
Okay.
see you on Saturday anyway.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.